At early healths, cover upward movement options with Orb Downlight. So a lot of Orb's moves at low health send your opponent really close to the ground. So for example, Endlight or a Side Air. So your opponent's instinct a lot of the time will be to go upwards, right? To jump or maybe dodge up. And D-Light is perfect for covering that. So for example, if we set Bodvar to dodge up and Endlight him, it's really easy to punish with a quick D-Light. And that can lead to some nice strings as well. For example, very quick and easy 3-hit punish. Now this also works for jumps too. If I set him to jump up, it has the exact same effect. And the reason it's really good is because Orb D-Light is a relatively safe move. You can definitely get punished for it, but it's relatively safe in the fact that you can really mix up your movement with it, because you can dash and it carries a lot of momentum, and it also leaves you in the air, so you can jump out of it. So it's a relatively safe option to go for if you want to go for a read, and you can get some nice punishes with it too. I'll roll a quick clip here showing what I mean.
The scythe if it goes poorly here. Let's see what it got. It's Boomie versus Experience game 1.
Oh, and so far, I mean, this orb from Boomie is...
Learn and utilize hand bounce down air. So what hand bounce down air is this version of down air. That works when you use the move really close to the ground. And the reason it's a good move, because not only can you use it for edge guarding, so this is a pretty classic use for the move. You'll see a lot of Orb players do this. Kind of use down air right over the edge. But it's also pretty good and pretty underrated on stage as well. Because if you look how far away Bodvar is right now, if I down air him from here, it'll actually hit. Right? So that's really far range for an aerial attack, which makes it pretty good as a landing mix-up, for example. So if you're trying to land against Bodvar, you can kind of throw out the dare as you're landing and have a really long-range hitbox covering you. That also kind of ties into tip number 1, which was covering upward movement options with Downlight, because this move sends you at a very low trajectory when it hits. So if Bodvar was to do any upward movement after, it's pretty easy to cover. Overall, this move is just really unique, and it's pretty much an entirely different move from your regular down air. Right? The hitbox is completely different, the angle you're throwing the orb is completely different, and it just has different applications entirely. So I think it's a pretty underexplored and underutilized tool. Utilize the later hitboxes of Orb Sidelight. So if we slow it down and take a look, the first few frames of the move, being active, hit really low to the ground, kind of like a sword downlight or something. But then later in the move, it hits slightly in the air at the end of it, which is really good for catching opponents jumping. So for example, a really common orb string is Endlight Sidelight. You'll see it's actually kind of sucking Bodvar out of the air while he jumps out of it. You can see Bodvar jumps, but because of that upward hitbox, it still hits him. Now, if we were to do the same setup, but I chase dodge Sidelight, you slow it down. Even though the dodge window would technically be smaller, Bodvar's able to jump out of it because the hitbox is so low to the ground. So you can see there, he's just barely able to jump out of it. Whereas if the move is spaced properly, and you don't dash, and you just immediately Sidelight, it'll catch your opponent out of the air. It also makes the move better for just catching landings, or catching jumps in general, even if it's not part of a string. So if you're able to consistently space your Orb Sidelight sort of this distance away, where you're getting that final hitbox, the move will be a lot more lenient to hit opponents who are slightly in the air. So this video is quite a bit shorter than my last one about blasters, and the reason I made that decision is because I want these guides to be short and sweet, sort of bite-sized, easy to remember. I think there's a lot of guides on YouTube for Brawlhalla that are really long, and they're great guides, they have a lot of good info, but it's hard to sit through like a 15-minute guide of someone talking and really actually remember anything specific. So my goal with these videos is kind of to have very bite-sized information, things that are easy to remember, and things that you can go play Brawlhalla right after and apply it to your game. So if you'd like to see more of that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.